Before I begin, I'm wondering how many people here have actually played Randomizer, a Randomizer?
Yeah.
Yes. How many people have played a Randomizer that's not Ocarina or Link to the Past? Oh, that's a good amount. And how many people here have played Archipelago? Ooh. Yeah, interesting stuff. All right. So, you might be wondering who the hell I am. My name is Michael Rose. I am a game developer at Simic Entertainment. And I'm a big fan of Link to the Past Randomizer. That's my jam. And when I was putting together this talk, I was trying to remember when I first played Randomizer. And then I realized I had a picture. Now, you might wonder, why would I have a picture of that? Well, okay, so for my bachelor party, I had this old school LAN party, and we played a bunch of weird, kooky games. And one of them was Randomizer. So you can see me. All my friends are all in the witness protection program, but I am there in the corner there, and you can see on our screen we are playing Zelda, in fact. So those are my nerd credentials laid out before you. All right, so just to give you a little overview of where I'm going with this. First, I'm going to talk about what's a randomizer. I'm going to talk about the randomizer community and how it's grown. I'm going to talk about RPG randomizers. Then I'm going to go into Zelda and Metroidvanias. Then I'm going to talk about MultiWorld, which will lead us into Archipelago. And then we will talk about the future. It shall be grand, the future. All right, so first, what's a randomizer? It's a hack that randomizes stuff in the game. Obviously, how this affects the game is dependent on the game. Randomizers will always have built-in logic to make sure you can beat the game, or beat the seed. And randomizers can be played with other people in a variety of ways. You can race other people. You have control over the seed, so two people can get the same RNG. You can play co-op, and you can also play MultiWorld. A brief description of MultiWorld is where you have multiple people playing different games, and then all the items are randomized amongst all the games, and you get each other's items over the course of the game. So MultiWorld is a very fun, crazy way to play. All right. Let's talk about the randomizer community. So ALTTPR is a Link to the Past randomizer, and Zooter is Zelda Ocarina of Time randomizer. So ALTTPR is Link to the Past, Zooter is Ocarina of Time. So ALTTPR has a full ladder system where you can matchmake with other people and you can get paired up and race each other whenever you want. It takes quite a lot of people to have a full ladder system. That is not something that you can just on a whim do. You need a substantial player base in order to do that. ALTTPR and Zooter both have gigantic main tournaments. They have team leagues. They have ongoing side tournaments at any given time with varieties of modes and all sorts of fun stuff. They also have their own podcasts. Like Zooter has the Gossip Stone podcast that talks all about everything Zooter. And then A Link to the Past actually has two podcasts, the Go Mode podcast and 216. So they have a lot going on. In fact, if you have, I don't know if you guys saw the Game Brass earlier, but they released an album that you can, when you buy it, you can get it as an MSU1 pack, load it into your game, and it's the Link to the Past soundtrack played with real live brass instruments. And you can play Link to the Past with a live brass soundtrack. It's pretty awesome. So the popular randomizers are constantly overflowing with tournaments. It's a massive problem that they're constantly having issues with. And I think the Casual Boots tournament, it filled up in 2 hours with 128 people or something. It's just nuts. And the less popular randomizers are actually sort of developing their own organized play scenes now, just because they're growing as well. So everything's growing, everything's big. I was trying to find numbers of how big things actually are. So I just kind of grabbed the Discord. Now obviously you don't have to join the Discord to play any of the randomizers, so it's not actually a good number, but it's what I got. So as you can see, Ocarina of Time is like 47,000 people in a single Discord, all right? It's a lot of people. One of the reasons for that is that Ocarina of Time has a gigantic speedrunning community in general, so it had a large base to pull from. After that is A Link to the Past and Majora's Mask. I actually didn't realize Wind Waker was such a big randomizer at this point. But yeah, randomizing the Great Sea does a lot of like fun stuff, so that's a lot of cool stuff. Super Metroid, of course, Archipelago, which I will get to later. Then, of course, there's SMZ3, which is the mashup of Super Metroid and Zelda 3, which is Link to the Past. Just literally just shove them together, glue them at the seams, and you've got SMZ3. You'll notice that SMZ3 is actually bigger than Super Metroid, and that's because there's a lot of A Link to the Past people who are like, I want to just mix some Super Metroid in with my Link to the Past, and so that's how you get that happening. And then, of course, you've got your Final Fantasy randomizers. There's, of course, many, many, many other randomizers other than these. You'll see that Final Fantasy IV is actually the biggest one of these three, and we'll sort of get to how this shakes out. But first, I want to go over that this is all like organic popularity, right? There is no marketing or advertising for Randomizer. You've never seen an advertisement for Randomizer except for maybe this very talk right now. Companies pay lots of money for marketing and advertising because it works. So it's a big deal when things get to such a large extent without any of it. There's also no media attention. Originally, when I wrote this, I was like, there's barely any media attention, and then I actually looked, and I found that it was none. And, you know, media doesn't really cover hacks that much in general, but I am a little bit bitter just because they will cover some, like, NFT scam game that has, like, a couple hundred people playing, and they don't cover Randomizer that has, like, tens of thousands of people playing. So I think that's not right. That's not right. One of the reasons is I think that there is just a bias in our greater society. It's like a capitalism thing. We're very money driven. And so because hacks, nobody's making money off of hacks, nobody's making money off of Randomizer, you know, this is just, it's easy to dismiss it sort of out of hand. But when hacks are becoming super popular, something crazy is happening. I mean, I want people to think of like Dota. You know, Dota was a mod of Warcraft 3, and eventually that inspires League of Legends, which now has some crazy Netflix show that's wonderful, right? So this is the way kind of things shake out. All right, so let's get into it. One moment. So, RPG randomizers. Let's talk about Pokemon first, because Pokemon had the first randomizer. Let's just be clear about that. Pokemon Red and Blue, you can easily randomize all the Pokemon. As long as you don't touch the HMs, it's going to be easy enough to make it a beatable seed, right? So you don't have to do much with Pokemon to do that. As an aside, in A Link to the Past randomizer, you can actually change your character. You don't have to be Link, you could be Zelda, but you could also be Pikachu, which I think is wonderful. But not only Pikachu, you could be Missing No. Isn't that great? I don't know. I think that's fun. So Pokemon also has open world hacks. So there's a few hacks like Pokemon Crystal Clear and Pokemon Row, which is Pokemon Emerald. These sort of make the gym leaders scale with your badges. You can start from anywhere. It turns the whole game into an open world experience. And the reason I talk about this is because when we get to Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise, all the way in January 2018, we see that it combines the two ideas into an open world randomizer ROMhack. First, he took Final Fantasy IV, turned it open world, and then he randomized everything. And this makes the game a lot more interesting, especially to watch and especially to race. Because now you have a lot of options about your route. You don't necessarily have to go along the linear story. Instead, now you can go wherever you want. And of course, the randomizer gives a lot of variance, so it's actually this really exciting race that can now happen. So then you get, you know, all the competition that goes along with that. ever since this came out, a lot of other RPG randomizers have come out using this kind of model, using this kind of like open world randomizer style. We're talking Final Fantasy VI, Super Mario RPG now is an open world randomizer, Chrono Trigger Jets of Time is also open world randomizer, so like this is sort of like the new way of doing an RPG randomizer. There's a lot of RPG randomizers, so I'm not going to go over all of them, all right? So I'm just going to go over to Zeldas and Metroidvanias. So these games differ from RPGs in two major ways, as far as randomization is concerned. So first, logic is inherent to the game, right? In the actual game, you need the hook shot to get the thing, to do the thing, right? You have to go in a sequence. So you're going to have to do a lot of logical stuff just right from the start in order to make it work. The second part is, I was talking about the Pokemon stuff, and that's really meant for sort of casual play, right? You're supposed to just play and have fun with the Pokemon. And eventually, it kind of gets into the racing and the speedrunning. Now it lives in the speedrunning world. But Zelda and Metroidvania was very much born there. It was very much born in the darkness. So it was developed by speedrunners for speedrunners. So Super Metroid. That was the first randomizer in this field by Desirect. And it was over in 2012, a long time ago, about a decade ago. And of course, he was a Super Metroid speedrunner, and he made this for the speedrunning community. And what did they do? When they get the randomizer, immediately they're going to race it, right? That's just how speedrunners think. That's the way they work. So ever since then, there's been different Super Metroid randomizers randomizing different aspects of the game. And they were all sort of like amalgamated in 2018 into what's called the Varia randomizer. And that is what you use now. So that's what everybody's using now. But a lot of it is what Desirect did. By the way, in A Link to the Past randomizer, you can also play as the title character from Metroid, Samus. I'm sorry, the title character from Metroid is Metroid. You can also play as Metroid. All right, that's the last I'll talk about the different weird sprites you can do as Link to the Past. So moving on to Ocarina of Time. So in early 2016, we get Amazing Ampharos leading the development and releasing Ocarina of Time Randomizer. So Ocarina of Time Randomizer is a little bit different than the others in that I think even from the beginning, it was sort of a team effort. This is because there was this other ROM hack being made called Beta Quest, which essentially was like a entrance randomizer, but it doesn't randomize the items. So you can go in all these different places, but it doesn't actually change the item layout. So a lot of those people sort of came into the randomizer, and so it sort of all flowed from there. Eventually, Amazing Ampharos was like, I think the randomizer's done. And then Test Runner was like, but there's so much more we can do. So he eventually took over and is now leading the development. Now we get to Link to the Past. And who do we have but our dear friend Desirect. He's the one that also made Link to the Past randomizer all the way in June 2016. Now, Link to the Past is considerably more complex than Super Metroid. Not only is there twice as many items, but the logic is a lot more bananas, shall we say. Eventually, he basically said he was done, and VTorp came along in early 2018, who currently leads the development. So, a lot of things are happening in 2018. One of the big things that happened in 2018 is AGDQ. So, this was easily the biggest platform that Randomizer had since this time. It massively changed the game. Tons of people saw this huge race between Andy, who is actually a speedrunner of many, many games, and he was at AGDQ several times before this. Chris Owens, also a big speedrunner, and he was also a dev of A Link to the Past Randomizer. He helped out a lot with Desirect and everything. So I think it's also the first time that a non-Mario ROM hack was at AGDQ. I think they've done Kaizo, Mario, and stuff like that, but not much else. So this is just kind of like a still of the thing. I actually highly encourage people to go watch it because it is very entertaining. It's a great race. How do The commentary is very hilarious. The race is great, like it's very close, and lots of exciting things happen. So it's a great race. So there's a lot of things happening in 2018. Tons of people are coming into the community. Things are getting released. I didn't even SMZ3. It's not on here, but like I can't. It comes out in mid 2018. 2018, a lot of things happen. But in 2019, we get MultiWorld. That's when MultiWorld really started coming out. And in MultiWorld, as I said before, it's where you have multiple people playing multiple games. The items are then shuffled amongst all the games, and so you all have to kind of go forward together. MultiWorld is actually a very big deal for the community. Now you can play MultiWorld both synchronized and asynchronized. You don't have to play at the same time, or you can play at the same time and talk with all your buddies and everything. So one of the big reasons why it's huge is that before this, the community is all about competition, right? It's all about racing. It's all about getting better in racing. MultiWorld is the first time we really see a popular way to play that's casual. So you have a lot of community involvement in that. So you have people just sort of getting together, do a Friday night MultiWorld. Hey, let's do a MultiWorld over this week. You know, it'll just take the week and then we'll be done. So like it's just kind of like a fun, casual thing. So now you have both all this competitive stuff and you also have all this casual stuff happening at the same time. Not only that, but MultiWorld also had big effects on the glitch community in particular. This is because in MultiWorld you will often get stuck because your friend has your item. Your friend has your hookshot. And you're at the end of A Link to the Past, where you need to hookshot across from Moldorm, and if you don't have the hookshot, you just kind of have to wait. This is called the BK mode, or Burger King mode, because somebody went and got Burger King while they were stuck. That's why. And it just sort of, that became the thing in the community. So, you know, if I'm stuck and don't have my hookshot, I could wait for you to get it. Or I could learn how to do a Moldorm bounce off of Moldorm's head, get flung across the gap. I don't need my hookshot, right? And that's exactly what I did, because, yeah, I was stuck, all right? So a lot more people started learning these kinds of glitches. A lot more people started becoming a lot more comfortable learning glitches. And so the glitch community also started getting this big influx of people from the advent of MultiWorld. Now I get to talk about Archipelago. This is fun stuff. I'm excited. So there's this guy named Berserker, and he made the sort of most popular MultiWorld branch of A Link to the Past. He was also really big into Factorio, okay? He's a Factorio guy. I don't understand Factorio. Don't try to talk to me, I don't know. So he also did all these like showcases to reveal new developments of his randomizer. And for 2021, he decided to do an April Fool's joke. And that April Fool's joke is Archipelago. So I'm gonna use his words. So when April 1st came around, I was originally just going to make a Factorio mod to show Link to the Past items as technologies and fake a few client messages or such to post screenshots and pretend that Factorio integration was the thing. So he was going to fake the whole thing and make it seem like Factorio is passing stuff to Link to the Past. Unfortunately, an ironic unfortunately, Factorio's modding API is too damn good, so after 5 days of work, I had Factorio actually sending and receiving items just in time for April 1st. So this is the birth of Archipelago, April Fools 2021. As you can see, there are 3 screens. There's A Link to the Past, A Link to the Past, A Link to the Past, and Factorio. So, how'd it go? As he says, I will never forget how people didn't believe it was true despite playing in a MultiWorld with us. And then the 2nd of April rolled around and it started dawning on people. Yeah, this was actually real. So as you can imagine, that created a storm of development because people wanted to put more and more games into Archipelago. So at April 2022, yeah, that's 1 year later, over 10 games were supported by Archipelago. It's about like a month a game. It's about like every month there's like a new game added to Archipelago. So the showcase that they had in 2022 was Hollow Knight, Time Spinner, and Super Mario 64 Randomizer. All these fun randomizers. And then as of now, so it's like January 2023, there's over 20 games, and they span many different genres of games. We have Donkey Kong Country 3. It's a platform, I don't know. We have Final Fantasy 1. We have Rogue Legacy, which is a roguelike. The Witness, which is like a puzzle game. Dark Souls 3, and even StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty, which is an RTS game. And if you haven't tried StarCraft 2 Randomizer, it is actually a lot of fun if you're into StarCraft 2. I highly recommend it. It's great. It's wonderful. So Archipelago also puts on big community multi-worlds every 1 to 2 months that everyone can join. You can just hop on and join. The last one they had back in November had 1,000 worlds in it. One gigantic multi-world with 1,000 worlds. Huh? What? Did you have a thing?
Yes, like, can you just like explain what you mean by like how do they interface?
Sorry, what?
Like how do they interact?
So just like a multi-world, they get all the items get shuffled amongst all the things. But now it's just multiple games being thrown together. So if you're one person's playing Ocarina of Time, one person's playing Link to the Past, Link to the Past just gives the hover boots to Ocarina of Time. So Factorio is technologies, right? You have research all these different technologies, right? So instead of researching a technology, you research hookshot for your buddy over there, right? That's how it works. This is bananas, right? We're talking nutsy times. So when you're talking 1,000 worlds, you're talking a lot of complexity, especially in the logic and stuff. Don't even try the logic, but it gets pretty bananas, right? It took about a month and a little over a month to complete 1,000 world multi-world with 200 people playing, over 200 people playing. These are the currently supported games. So just give you a second to just check out. Actually, one that's on here that that's in beta right now, so it'll probably be out in a couple of weeks, is Stardew Valley Randomizer. I do not know how that works. I don't know. But that's one they're in beta testing right now. So. All right. Now that I've blown your minds, let's talk about the future. The future. So, I don't know if it's a controversial statement. I don't know if it is. I think it's obviously true. But the only difference between a hack and a feature is who makes it, right? If it's a developer, it's a feature. If another person makes it, then it's a hack, right? So that brings me to official randomizers. So there are 2 games that I know of that have official randomizers. That is Axiom Verge 2 and Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, both of Metroidvania games. And they both updated their game and threw in a randomizer mode, so you can actually play like an official kind of randomizer. And I point that out because developers are taking note of the popularity of randomizers. I make a bold prediction. Hollow Knight Silksong. I think within 1 or 2 years it'll come out. I wouldn't be surprised if they throw in a randomizer. Oh, they already said so. Oh my God. There you go. Yeah. I mean, I actually didn't know that. That's pretty awesome. I didn't know they actually said that. Cool.
Well, Microsoft said Microsoft had a showcase that everything showcase will be released within the next year.
Oh, all right.
6 months in that.
That's pretty cool. I like to hear it. So, I'm also curious about this idea of randomizer by design. So all the games that I've talked about so far, they make the game, and then they randomize it, and they sort of, if it's good at randomization, is kind of up in the air. It's kind of happenstance. It's kind of a happy accident. But my question is sort of, what does it look like when you don't do that? When you actually randomize, when you have the game designed to be randomized? And that's one of the things that actually I'm trying to figure out how to do, because as I said, I'm a game developer at Symmetric Entertainment. That's essentially what we're trying to do. We're trying to make a randomizer by design. And I want you to actually just look at this beautiful landscape and just think for a moment how you would change the design of things to accommodate randomization. So just take a moment. What would you change? What would you shift? So, I got this landscape by Googling Bob Ross landscape, because in A Link to the Past randomizer, you can play as Bob Ross. Look at that. I think that's great. I think that's wonderful. All right, that's all I got for you guys. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for coming. Have a wonderful MAGFest.